Hello to exactly 16 people that are watching this video. I don't have to tell you who you are, you should already know. And welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be asking ourselves the question, how would I judge RuPaul's Drag Race Season 16? Now, I am filming this video, well, technically it's Friday, but it's like 1 a.m. the night before the finale. So I don't know what happened. I don't know who the winner of the season is. But we have our whole season um, in the past and done and over with. And this season has been such a good season of Drag Race. It really feels like in a way, it almost feels back to basics for me, in the fact that the riggery of the season is so minor. There's really very little riggery going on, I feel like. There is going to be a big change that's made, though, due to what I feel like should have happened on the original season, but we'll get to that later. And if you follow me on Twitter, which you should be anyway, you would know exactly what I'm talking about and what big changes might be made. But yeah, I'm going to be going through the season, judging it the way that I would choose to judge it, all the different episodes. And yeah, that is pretty much it. Oh, and before I go any further, I should also mention that I'm filming this the night before the finale. I'm filming everything up through the episode 15, the lip sync, redemption, smackdown, whatever. I'm filming all of that before the finale has released. So I don't know who's actually winning the season. At this point, I hope it's Saphira, but I would be up for any of them winning, and depending on how the finale goes, my opinion could be swayed on who I end up giving the win to. The rules to remember, as always, are this season has to be as long as season 16 of RuPaul's Drag Race originally was, which was 16 episodes. 14 proper competitive episodes, the lip sync Lollapalooza, and the finale. And the performances and the challenges need to be based off of how well someone did or how people would predict they would do. So I'm not just going to put somebody in the top when they were originally in the bottom, or vice versa, unless there is strong fan support for that being the case. And I'm going to be using any resources I have in my ability to, fairly judge these episodes. If somebody, for example, makes Snatch Game when they didn't originally, I'm going to try and figure out who they would have done for Snatch Game. I'm going to do the research and try to get as fair and accurate of a perception of what would happen as possible. The goal, as always, is to act as if I'm the head judge and craft the season however I can imagine to make it as fun and eventful as possible, while also being fair with my judging of the season by combining my own personal tastes and what was shown to us on the show. Before we go any further though, please like, comment, and subscribe on this video if you enjoy yourself. Only about a quarter of my viewers at any given time tend to be subscribed to the channel. So if you enjoy this video and this is your first time watching, thank you for stopping by. And I would appreciate, a like and a subscription. That'd be very nice. But anyways, let us get to the video proper, starting with episode 1. This season had non-elimination split premieres happen, which I decided to keep. I think it just makes the most sense to keep them. I like a double premiere non-elimination scenario. I think it's a very easy, fun way to start off a season. It feels good because we're getting to meet the queens and, learn about them and all these different things and, have a challenge winner, but nobody goes home. And it just feels like a fun, eventful, good episode, it's really nice. I think it's a fun way to start off a season, so we are going to be keeping it that way, and we're not going to change the groups. There's no reason to do that. So in episode 1, we have Saphira Crystal, Q, a mandatory meeting, Dawn, Mirage, Morphine Love Dion, and Tsunami Muse. So in these first 3 episodes, because of the Rita Queen twist, which I'm going to keep because I think it's very interesting, and I feel like if they developed it and used it as a potential season-long thing, that would be interesting. I don't think it should be all the placements matter. In a way, I don't know how they would do it with an all-star season, a future season. But I think they could adapt this to be something actually really interesting for the future if they wanted to. But considering that the Rita Queen twist is in place in the first 3 episodes of the season, I'm not going to be changing any of the placements in those episodes because it wouldn't be my place to judge them. If I'm taking the place on the judges panel, I ain't actually judging. Like, they're judging. The queens are judging, so there's no point, and it wouldn't make sense for me to change any of these placements. But I'm going to go over the performances that really stood out to me in the first few episodes, you know, just for posterity's sake. But Saphira Crystal and Q both did amazing jobs in this episode, I must say. They both were stellar. I mean, the puppet show was so stupid, fun, campy. I loved it. And Saphira doing her, what the fuck, her opera number, like calling RuPaul her father, like just so funny and dumb. I loved it. They both did truly amazing jobs this episode. And they're going to be lip syncing to Break My Soul by Beyonce, and Saphira killed the lip sync. She obviously won it. So Saphira is going to be the winner of this episode, and we're going to move on to episode 2. In episode 2, we had Plain Jane, Geneva Carr, Hershey LaCour-Jete, Megami, Maya Mon-LePage, Nymphia Wind, and Plasma. And they decided that the top 2 was going to be Plain Jane and Geneva Carr. I don't know exactly who I would have chosen as the top 2 for this episode. Honestly, like, I feel like, yeah, Plain and Geneva both did great. I feel like Nymphia did super good. Maya did really good. Like, I think there are many combinations of top 2 that I would be like, okay, that is viable for this episode. And I'm not mad at the Plain and Geneva top 2. I feel like Burger Finger, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know if I like Burger Finger. Like, I did like Burger Finger when it happened, but like, I don't know if I'm still up on Burger Finger. Like, it's just like, it's Burger Finger, you know? Like, what? Geneva, I thought had a great dance number and good performance overall for sure. But they're the top 2. They're going to be lip syncing to Shower by Becky G. And Plain Jane wins the lip sync. I mean, the breast just hanging out for like 90% of the lip sync was so funny because it's just out, you know. It's so the way that it looked is perfect. It was ridiculous. So I know that Plain Jane obviously didn't like cause that, but her reaction to it was so good and really as something that she did not control, which was it falling out. She made and closed off the joke in a super good way. So she's got to get the win here from me. Plain Jane is going to win this episode, and we're going to move on to episode 3. In episode 3, we had ourselves the ball challenge. It was the mother of all balls, which is one of the looser themes for a ball challenge we've had. But you know, it was still good. And because it is being judged with the Rita Queen, every placement is going to be the same here. Even though I do disagree a little bit with some of them. The main disagreement I have personally is I think Maya should have been safe and Morphine should have been low. I actually really liked Maya's final look. We've talked about this before. If you've watched any of this formatted video before, you would know that I like a punk, I like a grunge, I like a plaid tartan, I like a piercing, I like all of it. And that's exactly what Maya was serving. So Maya's final look was fucking 100% within my wheelhouse of like things that I like, which is definitely a big reason of why she would have been safe for me. Just I'm not bullshitting at all. And why I feel like Morphine would be my low placement personally. But they both did pretty similar levels to me. Like I don't think Maya like was leagues better than Morphine by any means of that. So I am not like pressed that Maya was low and that Morphine was safe at all. I do feel like this episode was judged pretty fairly by all the queens. Nymphia Wind is going to win the episode, which I think is very, very justified. She definitely should have won that. That ties look was so ridiculous. I loved it. Q and Saphira both did amazing. They're going to be high, of course. Amanda, Dawn, Megami, Mirage, Morphine, Plane, Plasma, and Tsunami are all safe. Maya's low. And Geneva and Hershey are the bottom two, and they're going to be lip syncing to Maybe You're the Problem by Ava Max. And Geneva wins this lip sync. It's a decently close lip sync, actually. Like, it's not, I don't think Geneva smokes her, but Geneva does a pretty good job here. And is able to beat Hershey, and sadly Hershey is going to be the first to go here, which sucks for Hershey, because Hershey preseason was one of my picks for top 4. My top 4 picks preseason were Saphira, Dawn, Geneva, and Hershey. And so when Geneva and Hershey were called bottom 2 this episode, I remember I was watching it live and I was like, damn it. Like one of them was going home already. Jesus fuck. So that was upsetting. But I love Hershey, and I feel like Hershey is somebody that could very easily come back on an all-star season, or whatever the fuck she wants to, honestly. Like, I wouldn't be shocked if that were to happen. Before we move on to episode 3, actually, I do want to really quickly explain that I'm going to be changing the way that the immunity potions work for this season. Now, I know the immunity potions are a reference to Death Becomes Her, which I did not actually know until I saw somebody say that, and I was like, oh, that makes sense. I've seen clips of Death Becomes Her. I should have known that, but I didn't think about it. But regardless of that, the way that I thought preseason the immunity potions were going to work is that it would halt an elimination. Like, at the end of the episode, there would be no elimination because the immunity potion was used. And that made sense to me, because if they were gonna do a top 4, then you have this double premiere, nobody goes home in either. That's 2 episodes with no elimination. Then you have the episodes in which the immunity potion is used, and that halts another 2 episodes eliminations. So that's 4 non-elimination episodes, 10 elimination episodes, top 4, bam. That's what I thought was going to happen, which is what didn't happen. And I didn't like that. I was very confused that, like, the potions really almost had nothing to do with the way that the episode is actually going to end up being formatted. Considering that when Plane gave her immunity potion to Nymphia, they just made it a top 2 episode anyway. Like, it didn't make sense to me. So I'm going to be changing the way that the immunity potions work in my world in order to make them feel more consistent and add more weight to them. And so what's going to happen is for Plane and Saphira is at the end of every episode, not before the critiques, not before the placements are called out. At the end of the episode, after the lip sync, Plane and Saphira have the opportunity to use their immunity potions and cancel the elimination. There's still going to be like a winner, high, safe, slows, bottom 2. The bottom 2 are going to lip sync. After that, they can choose to halt the elimination. That's the way I'm setting it up in this world, in this scenario, and predicting whether they would use their immunity potions with that. I feel like that is just a better way to go about it, because it leaves it at the very end of the episode whether that immunity potion is going to be used. It's after the lip sync. It is at the last possible second that someone could be saved. And at that point, that's when it's going to be used, and nobody's going to go home, and it's going to be a moment each time it happens, I feel like that just makes it so much better. And if you're like, who's drinking the potion? They're both drinking the potion. Or you can just fucking be like, Plane and Saphira just each drink their own potion when it happens, and it provides the effect, and everyone's safe, and yay, a little bit of love, like that, Like, that's the way that this is gonna happen here, because I feel like the way that it happened in the season originally, it didn't feel fleshed out enough to me. I didn't like it. So we're gonna be doing it that way. In episode 4, we had ourselves the RDR Live Challenge, and I didn't actually change any of the placements this episode. I thought this episode was judged very, very fairly. So we had all of our different skits, it's an SNL parody. And they did this once before on All Stars 8, and I feel like this is a challenge that could become a staple. And it just needs a little bit of tweaking, It's kind of one of those things where it's like, SNL is a hit or miss show, in my opinion. You know, some of the sketches are super funny, and some of the sketches are I couldn't give a fucking shit about. Um, I feel like with this challenge, all the sketches have got to be bangers. You know, like I almost feel like in a way it leaves too much up to the writers not doing a good job with the sketches, and then it just kind of flopping, not on the fault of the queens. You know what I mean? So this is one of those where I'm like, I feel like this could become a staple, and I'd be willing to see it become a staple challenge in Drag Race, but I need the consistency. It needs a few more trial runs before I feel like I can fully say whether it can work out or whether it can't, you know? But I mean, Plasma does this Barbra Streisand impersonation. It's so good. It's so Barbara. It really is like the standout performance of this challenge. And Plain and Q are each in their own skits. Q is the brick. Plain is like the like I was gonna say the whore. Which I think isn't that the joke, as far as I'm remembering? Yeah, she's in the sketch with Megami called Thick and Long Deck Service. Like, that's the joke. So, Plain does a great job in that sketch. And the bottom three, again, are the same. Maya on LePage does her Don Lemon is part of like the end of the world countdown, like the New Year's Eve kind of thing, which was just like, I don't really feel like anybody who was in that sketch did a great job in this challenge, but I do think the worst two were Maya and Geneva, and I think Geneva did the worst. Yeah, I think Geneva did the worst in the challenge. I was not a big fan of Geneva's Lindsey Graham. It was also, why are you having Lindsey Graham as like an actual like a person you're impersonating on this? Like, really, Lindsey Graham? Are you sure? Really? Lindsey Graham? I don't. Why did they even do that? I don't like it. But Mirage sadly flubbed some of her words, and I would say it was the second worst in the challenge. And so she is also going to be in the bottom two with Geneva Carr, and they're going to be lip syncing to Dark Lady by Cher. And Mirage doesn't know the words, and I watched this episode live as well. A lot of the episodes this season I did not end up watching live because so many different things came up and I had to watch them the next day. This episode I did happen to watch live as it was airing, and seeing Mirage not know the words in real time was actually soul crushing. I was devastated because I grew to love Mirage, and I just see her just get eliminated. A second elimination, not knowing the words. It was just worst case scenarios for Mirage over and over, and it was so sad to watch. So that is what's going to happen here, because obviously she did worse in the lip sync. But Mirage did end up getting a redemption later. That's barely a sentence. That's fine. And we'll see what redemption she does get later on in the season. At the Lollapalooza later on. But yes, she is going to go home here, and we're going to move on to episode 5. In episode 5, we had ourselves the Girl Groups Challenge. All of our contestants are the same, so they're all obviously going to be on the same teams. But I am going to choose to judge this Girl Groups Challenge differently. Originally, the winning group of Geneva, Megami, Maya, and Nymphia were all called the winners of the challenge, and they all were winners of the challenge. And then everybody else was judged individually, which I don't like. I really, really don't like the judging where, like, a winning or losing group is judged as a group, and then everybody else is, just kind of fluid. If it, like, just so happens that it's being judged individually, but, like, let's just say there's, like, a challenge where it's, like, 3 groups of 3, and one group, they all happen to be the best 3 of the week, so they're in the top. Like, that's fine. If just, like, one of them wins, 2 of them are high, and, everybody else is separate in their own placements, that's fine with me. But, like, making a group win and then choosing 2 people from different groups and saying, you're the bottom 2, it's like, what do you, I don't like it. I don't like that at all. So I'm judging it by the groups. So Geneva, Megami, Maya, and Nymphia are still going to win this challenge. They did amazing. Megami fucking murdered this challenge. Was the standout of this for me. I fucking I love Megami, guys. I have been a Megami truther from basically the very beginning. I didn't put her as one of my top 4 predictions, but I've been a Megami truther. I've been in these streets defending her name for ages. And she murdered this episode here. And I just had to give her praise because I love her. I think the group of Dawn, Morphine, Q, and Saphira were the second best group of the week. They had ASMR Lover as their song. Oh wait, no, sorry, they didn't. Fuck. They had Star Baby. Our winning group had ASMR Lover. But yeah, they were my second favorite group overall. I feel like Dawn and Saphira both had very great performances in this challenge. And Morphine did too. Q was probably worst in this challenge for me. But if we're like looking at the 8 contestants that make up the 2 groups that didn't win the challenge, in my top 4 of those 8, Dawn, Saphira, and Morphine I think are all there. I think Dawn and Saphira are fighting for my favorite, then probably Plain, and then Morphine. So it just makes sense to make this group the safe group, in my opinion, because they overall did a better job, in my opinion, than our final group of Plain Jane, Plasma, Tsunami, and Amanda, who did Courage to Love. And I think that out of these 4, Tsunami and Amanda did the worst. Amanda was originally in the bottom, and I think out of the 8 that weren't part of the winning team, I do think she was probably my second least favorite. And if I had to choose my third least favorite, I think it's Tsunami. So that is the way I'm going to be judging it here. And you might be wondering, why are Plain and Plasma listed as safe instead of low if they're in the bottom group? Well, they're safe, because they didn't do that bad. And I feel like giving them a low placement here would be like acting that they did a bad job, and they didn't. Because nobody did a bad job in this challenge. Everybody did a serviceable or better job. And so I feel like it would be unfair to place either of them as low when they both did perfectly fine jobs in this challenge. And just because I'm judging it in teams doesn't mean I have to say, like, hey, these 2 are actually low. And these 4 in the, the middle team, the second best team, are all safe. That doesn't mean I have to do it like that. It's still being judged in the teams. They just are safe. It's essentially the same as, like, in like UK season 1, we have the 2 teams of 3. One of them, all of them win, and then the losing team is the bottom 2 and another person, and that person is safe. They aren't low, they're safe. So I'm doing it like that, because that's what feels fairest in my brain. But Tsunami, Muse, and a mandatory meeting are going to be lip syncing to Emergency by Icona Pop, and Amanda did a pretty good job in this lip sync, I would say. But I do think her performance was hindered due to her outfit. I don't think her outfit was bad. There has been a lot of discourse about this bird's nest outfit, and I think it's fine. I'm actually very neutral on it. I don't think it's dog shit garbage like Michelle Visage thought it was. I don't think it's stellar. I think it's okay. And I feel like, sadly, and this can happen, her look and the outfit was a hindrance to her performance, because I'm just staring at her bottom half of her face the whole time. Not her lips, just the blue. I'm just kind of looking at the blue. You know what I mean? Like, I'm getting distracted when looking at her, and that's not a good thing. I think Tsunami has the chance to do a better job than Q in this lip sync. Originally in this lip sync, it was between Q and Amanda, and Q won, which was a questionable decision. Some people think Amanda should have won. Some people think Q deserved the win. I do think Amanda did a little bit better, but Q had been at the top like every episode prior, so I understand why Q is kept. I think, asking myself between Q and Tsunami who would do better, I would say Tsunami. So following that logic, if Tsunami did better than Q, who won over Amanda, I think Tsunami would probably win over Amanda. So sadly, a mandatory meeting is going to go here, and she is an icon. She has grown to be such a fan favorite, and I do really like her, and I am I'm on the mandatory meeting. I'm seated for the meeting. I will be note taking during the meeting, and I hope you all are doing the same, because that's what a responsible corporate girl boss does. I don't know. But no, a mandatory meeting is gonna leave here sadly, and we're gonna move on to episode 6. In episode 6, the contestants have to design dresses for dolls. And have their own matching dresses with their dolls. It's a cute challenge. I actually really like this challenge, especially because, you know, Barbie happened and, you know, kind of the doll thing kind of came more into like the zeitgeist just because of like Barbie, and you know, obviously Barbie's a doll. But yeah, they have to make these looks, and I really only changed one placement here. And that was I moved Megami up to the high placement over Plain Jane. I loved Megami's outfit. Her outfit was so pretty. It had that blue sparkliness with the orange accents, complementary colors opposite on the color wheel. I loved it. And Plain Jane's I thought was an inch too simple, but every other placement is exactly the same. Q, her outfit was fucking stellar. Oh my god. She killed this challenge from fucking head to toe. And Dawn, I think, was a very close second, but sadly she's gonna still be high here. I did really love her, like, alien, you know, kind of space outfit, though. And our bottom 3 of Plasma, Maya, Mon LePage, and Geneva Carr is going to stay the same. Plasma's outfit just wasn't, like, polished enough, I feel like, for what was being asked for the challenge. And then I do think just purely in terms of, like, construction, and, you know, the concept for the challenge, Maya and Geneva did the worst. So they're going to be the bottom 2 this week. And our safe placements are going to stay the same. As previously mentioned, Morphine, Nymphia, Plain Saphira, and Tsunami are all safe. So Maya, Mon LePage, and Geneva Carr are going to be lip syncing to Control by Janet Jackson. And this is my favorite Maya lip sync of the season. Oh my god, she murders this. It is like, Geneva does not do a bad job. I want to preface my statement with Geneva does not do a bad job in this lip sync at all. Maya massacres this lip sync. Holy shit. She does an amazing job here. Like, she bodies it. And this is like the point of the season where you're like, oh my god, Maya is everything. Holy fuck. She killed it. Hunty. I don't have any other words. I feel like I'm just like going through and just like stating the obvious a lot in this video so far, but that's because the season is judged very, very fairly, for the most part. And we're actually going to be changing one of the big judging pieces in just a second. But regardless, this season is judged super fucking fairly. But I guess let's shake it up by moving to episode 7. So I know this is going to make people mad, but let's just delay the inevitable, actually. So we have the Rusical Challenge, the Sound of Rusic, play on the Sound of Music, which I think is fun. You know, I can appreciate when they play on different musicals and stuff. This one was odd though. I didn't really like the formatting of this Rusical. As if you've seen my other videos, and my Rusical ranking video, you would know that the Rusical is one of my favorite challenges of all time. Debatably my favorite challenge in Drag Race of all time. I love a good Rusical. I like musicals. I like Rusicals. They are fun. To make a good Rusical, though, I feel that almost all the parts should be made equal. Every part should have a chance of winning. It doesn't have to be a big chance, but it has to be a chance. This is one of the Rusicals where I'm like, there are about 4 parts that can win. And that sucks. I hate that. I hate that. It makes me feel sad. Because there are some parts, like, that just cannot win this Rusical. Like, Maya and Morphine's parts aren't winning the Rusical. Dawn and Megami's parts aren't winning the Rusical. Basically, the only parts that I feel like could win the Rusical were Q, Saphira's, and Plasma's. Those are the only 3 that I feel like could actually win the Rusical. Plasma murders this challenge. I mean, she is the main character. She does it from head to toe, does an amazing job. with the Rusical. She definitely deserves the win here. And Saphira was high originally, and she's going to stay high because she really serves up her kind of like minor main character role. And she's also with two of the queens that do the worst in the challenge, in my opinion, and Maya and Morphine. So her performance is really like shining above everybody else's, I feel like, in this challenge. Well, specifically Maya's and Morphine's, which subsequently leads to, you know, basically everybody else. Dawn, Plane, Q, and Tsunami are going to be safe. Q being bumped down to the safe placement from the high because of Nymphia. And the bottom three are going to stay the same, except they are being swapped around. I don't think Megami did that bad. I have never thought Megami was in the bottom two for this challenge. I felt pretty confident that Megami was low for this challenge. And seeing her in the bottom two and seeing her leave in this challenge, I felt was unjust. I did not like that at all. I think Morphine did worse. Morphine, I think, fell into the background more than Megami did. And I also really liked Megami's runway this episode. Morphine had a great runway as well, don't get me wrong. But I feel like they both had very, very good runways. Their runways, in a way, are like pretty equivalent in my opinion, but I preferred Megami's performance. I feel like I got more from Megami. So Megami is gonna be low instead of the bottom two. So the bottom two is going to be Maya Amon LePage and Morphine Love Dion, the two biggest lip sync assassins of the season, going up against each other at top 10. Crazy. And they're going to be lip syncing to Flowers by Miley Cyrus. And I waffled on this for a lot. I waffled on who would fucking win this lip sync because we saw Maya do it. Maya did a really good job with it. I mean, she slid across the floor. She, you know, did like this like kind of like church dance. It was very entertaining. Would Morphine do better? I feel like the obvious answer is she could. She absolutely could do better. But if I have $1 million and I have to bet on red or black at the roulette table, who am I betting on? Morphine or Maya? I'm gonna bet on Maya to win it. And I really don't have a solid reasoning other than it's my gut feeling that she would do better. Because, again, we've both seen them do stellar jobs at lip syncs on this season of Drag Race. Like, there's no denying that. But I get the feeling that Maya would do better. So sadly, Morphine is going to be eliminated here way earlier than she was originally. Which is, it sucks for Morphine, because I do really like Morphine. It sucks that she's getting eliminated this early, but I feel like if I was judging the season, that's what would happen, so it's gotta happen, you know? But we do have our lip sync Lollapalooza. Morphine is going to get some kind of redemption there. I'm not going to spoil who wins that right now, but she definitely will get some kind of a redemption there. You'll just have to wait and see what it is. But we're going to move on to episode 8. And in episode 8, we have ourselves the Snatch Game. Now, here's the first time this season where we have to predict how someone would do, because Megami did not participate in Snatch Game originally. Megami on her Twitter insinuated that she would have done Ethel Merman for her Snatch Game, which I think is a great Snatch Game choice. It fits into like the old kind of Hollywood musical kind of people that have been done on Snatch Game before, kind of like the Harvey Firesteins of the world, the kind of like the Bernadette Peters. Like, it is one of those Snatch Games where I think if you do even halfway decent impression with a joke thrown in there, you're gonna be safe, you know? Like, it is one of those Snatch Games that I feel like if you have any comedy chops, which Megami I feel like does, you're gonna be safe or higher. I think with a Snatch Game crowd, Megami is going to be safe here. I don't see a scenario where she does worse than Dawn, and I don't see a scenario where she does better than Saphira or Maya. So I think she's just going to be perfectly safe. If I had to predict where in the saves, I think she'd be dead in the middle. I think she'd be, you know, I guess 5th in the rankings. I think Q did the best out of the saves, and Plasma would probably do the worst. But looking at the Snatch Game as a whole, I do think Plain Jane did the best job in the Snatch Game. Now, this was one of those challenge wins that I really flip-flopped for a while on between who did better, Plain or Saphira. And I, for a good portion of time, was going to put Saphira as the winner of this challenge. But I decided against that because I thought Plain Jane had a better overall Snatch Game than Saphira. I do think my highlight of the Snatch Game is Saphira's dancing shoes bit that she has kind of in the middle there. It is my favorite moment from the Snatch Game. But I do think if we're looking at consistency and just like good jokes overall, I do think Plain did a better job. So Plain is going to win this challenge for me. Saphira is going to be high along with Maya. Maya's performance I feel like was really good in this challenge as well. So she's going to be high there. Because we do not have Morphine Love Dion here, we do have to move somebody down to the low placement, and that is going to be Dawn. I think Dawn's performance of, was she Meghan McCain, I think? It just wasn't, it didn't hit for me. I was like, this is, like, she looks like Meghan McCain, and she had a good joke, and that was kind of what I got. Like, I just, it wasn't for me, her performance. So she's going to move down to the low placement, but she is not going to be, close to being eliminated. The bottom two are going to be Nymphia Wind and Tsunami Muse, who I do think did the worst in this challenge, now that Morphine is not here. And they're going to be lip syncing to I Want to Dance with Somebody by Whitney Houston. And Tsunami, I thought, would have done a much better job in this lip sync than she actually did. She really didn't serve it up enough for me personally. And so I am of the opinion that Nymphia would probably do better here. Even though I do think it'd probably be a close scenario. We have yet to see Nymphia lip sync on this season, and I really do not know Nymphia's lip sync style at all. So there is a chance that Nymphia could do worse. There's also a chance that Nymphia could smoke her. I don't know. But I do think odds are Nymphia would do better based off of the performance we saw from Tsunami on the actual season. So Nymphia is going to stay here and Tsunami is going to be eliminated, and we're going to move on to episode 9. In episode 9, we had the See You Next Wednesday challenge, which was the neo-goth design challenge, which is so me. I love it. I love this challenge. Oh, it's so fun. In this episode, I decided to make a top 4 and a bottom 2. I do this sometimes when I'm like, I don't see a viable reason for anyone to be low or like an extra person to be high. Like, there are times where I do this, and I decided to do it here because I feel like with this lineup of contestants, Megami makes her own outfits all the time. She did a great job with the 2 outfits she made for previous design challenges, and is also a neo-goth look, which fits pretty well into Megami's aesthetic overall. I don't see a scenario where Megami isn't one of like the top 3 for this challenge. I do think she would be high for this challenge. But just looking at the group as a whole, I don't see a scenario where having Dawn, Megami, Nymphia, Q, Plain, and Saphira, and having to force one of them to be in a low placement for those looks that they made? No, I'm not doing that. That doesn't feel fair to me. I don't see why that should happen. So I decided to make it a top 4 instead. Megami is going to be in the top there, along with Nymphia, Q, and Dawn is going to win the challenge. I like Dawn's look the best, personally. It really kind of fit the vibe that I was thinking of with the neo-goth, like, gold that they were given. I think Q did a great job, too, but I don't feel like Q's look with the white, it didn't really fit into the neo-goth that I was personally looking for. Like, would I say it's neo-goth? Yeah. Is it like my personal, what I want to see neo-goth? No. And looking at outfits, it's very subjective, and I like Dawn's better, so Dawn is kind of a win. The challenge. And I was actually really close to choosing potentially Megami or Nymphia to win the challenge as well. because Nymphia, we saw, did a stellar job with this challenge. But she didn't have the easiest time walking in the outfit. And I saw some discourse online when this episode came out of like, you know, like you shouldn't, like walkability shouldn't be like a factor in like a couture garment. Which, like, I guess I can understand, but, like, for me matters. Like, you're on Drag Race. Like, the point is to walk down the runway in it. If you're not fully able to walk in it, that is going to ding a point for me. So I do feel like Dawn would most likely, between Dawn and Megami, have my favorite look, so Dawn is going to win. And, you know, we already explained our highs. Plain and Saphira are safe, which means that the bottom two is left up to be Maya, Amon LePage, and Plasma. And they're going to be lip syncing to Bloody Mary, the TikTok Wednesday dance version, whatever the fuck it's called. Which, I mean, why did they do that? They so could have easily just done the original song. They also had an opportunity to do like a Bring Me to Life or something, you know? Something that would have been real good, something that would have been just hit the fucking, you know? But they didn't. They decided to do fucking TikTok. But regardless, Maya wins this lip sync. That's not a question. I feel like for any, that's not a question to anybody. She does a better job, and she's gonna send Plasma home here, which is kind of insane because Plasma had 2 wins up to this point, and this is like a big moment of like, oh shit, Plasma got sent home. What the fuck? What's gonna happen? You know? I think it would be a good moment. For this season, as it was originally. So that is that for this episode. We're going to move on to episode 10, where our immunity potion gets used. It gets used here. So this episode is being judged as a, you know, kind of proper episode with a winner and a bottom 2 here. Because I feel like there is a easy way to rank this in my brain, you know? Like, I think they did it originally with the top 2 and the highs and the safes because they felt like everybody did a really good job and they didn't feel like it would be necessarily fair to do it as like a winner and a bottom 2, which I think is fine, you know, like I get it. But with the fact of the way I've decided to do these immunity potions this season, there isn't going to be an episode that I'm going to like change to a top 2 for some reason. I'm not going to do that. There's no point in me doing it. And I feel like there's a very easy way to do this here. We do not have Morphine. Here we have Megami instead. And Megami showed in the Girl Groups Challenge that she can kill a verse. She can kill any verse. And she can also dance. And so I don't feel like I'm biased in saying Megami would probably be in the top for this challenge. She'd probably be the second best. Right after Saphira. Saphira murdered this challenge. She really got the funk concept in there. Did such an amazing job. And Maya also did a great job in this challenge and is going to be high for it. Nymphia Wind, despite the lack of lyrics, was just stunning on that stage. And I feel like looking at I'm gonna say the bottom 4, which is, it's not, I don't mean like a bottom 4 and that they all did bad. Just like the 4 that aren't Saphira, Megami, and Maya. Looking at those 4, we saw Nymphia and Plain side by side in their moment together, and Nymphia did better than Plain. And looking at Plain and Q, I think Plain did better than Q. So she's at least above Plain and Q, so she's at least low. And looking at Nymphia and Dawn, I think she did better than Dawn, so she's going to be safe. You know, it's like working backwards from the solution, almost in a way. That doesn't actually make any sense, but you know what I mean. And yeah, I think Dawn did better than Plain and Q, in my opinion. I liked her performance a good amount here. And so Plain and Q are going to be the bottom 2 of the episode. They're going to lip sync to Made You Look by Meghan Trainor. I think that in reality, Plain would probably win the lip sync, but I do think this is a closer one than you think. Made You Look is a campy song. Like, I feel like if there's any category of song that Q could be Plain in, it's gonna be something that she can camp. They both can do camp really well. They both have done camp super well at different points on this season. Q isn't out dancing Plain ever. So a song that's camp, like Made You Look, I feel like they both would do a good job in. I do think Plain would probably do better again, but I do think they would both do good. And because Plain is in the bottom here, I think Plain would use the immunity potion. I don't think either Plain or Saphira, or actually really anybody on this cast, would risk being eliminated because they like didn't use their immunity potion. Like, that would be ridiculous. That would be stupid. What you wouldn't do that? Like, I don't think either of them would in actuality do that. So the fact that Plain is in the bottom two here, I do think Plain is going to use the immunity potion and is going to save herself and Q from elimination, and we're going to move on to episode 11. In episode 11, we had ourselves the Corporate Queens Challenge, where they had to do these presentations for, these different companies, and their different little, like, slideshows and stuff. It was fun. We have Megami here, where we had Morphine, and because these groups are kind of just, like, randomly chosen, Megami's just going to join the group. With Nymphia and Saphira, and all the other groups are going to be the same. I do think Plain and Q did better in this challenge than Saphira. Now, there's been a good amount of back and forth of who did better between Plain and Q as a duo or Saphira. I think Plain and Q did better. That fucking slides joke took me out when I first saw it. I was dead. I thought they did such a good job, and I do think Saphira did the best in her group, I would say. She really had a great job there. She was probably my third favorite of the night, but she had multiple little slip-ups that we saw there, and, like, I didn't see any slip-ups from Plain and Q, so they're gonna win this challenge for me. Like, they both did a stellar job, and, like, I can't deny that. And you might be like, hey, aren't you kind of doing this, like, the way you didn't want it to be done earlier? Like, you're judging Plain and Q as a team, but everybody else is individual? Technically, yes, I am doing that. So am I a hypocrite? Kind of. It was never stated in the episode or by me that this challenge was going to be judged in teams. It fits into the same boat in my mind almost as like the Good Morning Bitches challenge from, like, season 9, where the best, like, vignette was between Sasha and Shay. So they both won, but, like, it wasn't a team win. They just both kind of happened to be together. Like, it's kind of in a similar situation like that in my brain, where it's like, these two just did the best together, and there's no denying that. And they aren't being judged as a team, and then everyone else being judged individually. It's more of like, they were just the two that happened to do the best. But looking at this episode and how everybody did, I don't think there's a fairer way to judge it than the way that I'm choosing to judge it here. Like, I truly think that the duo of Plain and Q did the best. And I don't think there's a fair way to split them up and say, oh, Plain did better, or oh, Q did better. Like, I don't feel fair in doing that, so I'm not going to. And am I kind of a hypocrite? Yeah. But do I care? Not really. So, sorry about it. Nymphia and Saphira are both going to be high. They both did a great job in this challenge, and this is one of the scenarios where I'm like, I don't feel like it would be fair to choose between Nymphia and Saphira who would be safe. It would be Nymphia, if I had to choose somebody, but I think with the way that this challenge was and how it went, putting Nymphia in a high placement instead of a safe placement feels fairer to me. So that's what's going to happen here. The bottom three are going to be Dawn, Megami, and Maya. Dawn is going to be low here because she did a fine job. But a fine job in this challenge is the third worst. Everybody else above her did a really good job, I feel like, whereas Dawn was kind of just like trying to lead the presentation as best as she could. So that means Megami and Maya are going to be the bottom two of this episode, and they are going to be lip syncing to Dim All the Lights by Donna Summer. Now, before the lip sync Lollapalooza episode even happened, I said Megami was winning this lip sync. And I still think she would. I think Megami could very easily win at this lip sync. over Maya Aman LePage. This is a slower song. This isn't a flips and tricks song. And I feel like Megami would come in with a gag, with a thing, with something to do that would set her apart. And I think Megami could very easily win this. Megami, in my opinion, hands down won the lip sync against Maya till we got the beat. And I feel like could very easily win this lip sync against Maya here. And also just looking at the track record, this is Megami's first time at the bottom two, Maya's fourth. Like, Megami's winning the lip sync. Even if Maya does a little bit better, Megami's winning the lip sync. And that feels fair in my brain no matter what. So that is what's going to happen here. And we're going to move on to episode 12. In episode 12, we had ourselves the bathroom design challenge, which was weird. But, you know, it was the challenge. So they're going to be split into pairs and have to do these like bathroom designs. Because Morphine is not here and we have Megami instead, Q and Megami are going to be a team together. And Megami can write. Megami can write things. Megami did fine in the comedy challenges on this season so far. She's been basically safe for all of them. I think with Megami and Q as a pairing, I don't know what would happen. I think would happen is, okay, this challenge is being judged individually. Saphira, I think, did the best originally and would still do the best here, so she's going to win. Plane would be high for doing the second best, because this is how I judge final 6 episodes. Nymphia would be safe because she did a better job than Dawn, and Dawn did probably the worst job of the episode, so she's going to be in the bottom. The problem is, with Q and Megami together, I feel like what would end up happening is that one of them would end up outshining the other with their jokes and stuff, which would lead to one being safe and one being in the bottom two. And I just can't really decide how that would actually end up going, because I do think, because like Q is a louder person than Megami, like that's not a shock to anybody. But I think Megami would probably write better jokes and more jokes than Morphine would. And because the jokes are better, does that mean that they would both do better and then maybe it'd be Nymphia and Dawn in the bottom? I don't know. There's a lot of unknowns here. But because Megami is, in my opinion, probably the best writer of the season, I decided to put Megami as safe and Q in the bottom. Now, this is a fluid position that I feel like you could convince me of differently any day of the week if you wanted. But it doesn't change what would ultimately happen during the season, and it doesn't change what would happen this episode. So I am going to keep it this way, but I might mentally retroactively change one of these bottom placements or something in the future. But for now, Q and Dawn are going to be the bottom two for this episode. They're going to lip sync to Body by Megan Thee Stallion, which is actually the funniest scenario that could have happened. Dawn and Q lip syncing to Megan Thee Stallion, it would be terrible. It would suck. It would be amazing. And not to rag on them too hard, because I do really like Q and Dawn. Dawn was one of my winner picks preseason. I fucking love Dawn, and Q is also so fucking good, and I love her in her drag. But we gotta be real here, girl. They wouldn't do a good job at all. I wouldn't do a good job either. I would not do a good job either to lip sync to Body. But I do think if I was forced to choose who would do better, I would say Q. We saw Dawn's lip sync. It was very witchy, which just wasn't, it's not the vibe of Body. I feel like Q would at least try and, and be like, do the body yada yada yada. Like she would go for it, I think she'd go for it harder than Dawn would. So I would feel like Q would win with this lip sync. But regardless, if Nymphia were in the bottom two against Dawn, I think Nymphia would win. I think if Megami were in the bottom two against Dawn, Megami would win. I think all roads here lead to Dawn going home and whoever ends up lip syncing against her being safe. So ultimately, for the course of the season, it does not matter really at all who ends up being in the bottom 2 with Dawn here at the final 6. But I did end up choosing Megami, but again, that could, my opinion is willing to change on this episode easily. But enough of that, we're moving to episode 13. In this episode, we had ourselves the Makeover Challenge with the dancers from RuPaul's Drag Race Live. Here, again, we have Megami instead of Morphine. Megami herself on Twitter said that if she would have made it to this episode, she would have been in the bottom for this challenge. And I'm gonna believe her. Like, if she says that she would have done a bad job in this challenge, then shit, I guess she would have done a bad job, wouldn't she? She's gonna be in the bottom 2. So she very easily is filling in Morphine's space here in the bottom. And I did decide to change the winner of the challenge. Originally, Plain Jane won the challenge, but I think Nymphia should have won instead. I thought Nymphia's outfits were better, and I think in comparison to what I'm expecting out of a makeover challenge, I thought Plain's makeover was slightly too basic. It just in my personal tastes. I do think Plain did better on the dancing portion of the challenge for sure, and I do think that's probably what edged out and gave Plain the win there because of her, pretty solid makeover and her doing really, really good in the kind of dancing portion of it. But like, I really can't give that much of a shit about the dancing portion. Like, I know it was part of the challenge, but in my opinion, we're judging the makeover, Like, I'm only going to really factor in the dance if somebody does a terrible job in the dance, which I don't think happened. So I decided to switch Nymphia and Plain's placements, make Nymphia win and Plain high. Q is still going to be safe. And our bottom 2 of Megami and Saphira are going to lip sync to Miss Me More by Kelsey Ballerini. And this is one of those lip syncs where I'm like, I think either of them could win. Like, Saphira did a good job in this originally. Megami could do a better job. I wouldn't be shocked. Megami could do a worse job. I also wouldn't be that shocked. I think they would both do very similar levels. And because Saphira has not used her immunity potion yet up to this point, and she's now on the bottom 2, she's going to use the immunity potion. They're both going to be safe. It's going to be the moment. We're going to move on to episode 14. In episode 14, we had the book covers and kind of book writing challenge. They have to write their memoir, do an interview, and have a little photo shoot for like the cover of the memoir. In this challenge here, we have Megami, who did not participate originally. Everybody else did participate. So we all know how they're going to do, and I agree with the placements as they were originally. I do think Nymphia did the best, Saphira did the second best, and then Plain and Q did the worst. That is how I feel about it. So the question is, where does Megami slot into all this? I previously mentioned Megami, I think, is like the best writer on the season. Just comedy writing, like poetry writing, literature writing. Like, I think she's just the best overall writer on the cast. So I don't think she could be in the bottom 2 for this challenge. I just don't see it. I don't see why. And Megami, I feel like, would do a perfectly fine job in the photo shoot and interview. I don't think she would do better than Nymphia or Saphira. Is there like a chance that she could have done like one of the worst or the worst in either of those categories? I could see the scenario, but like, writing a memoir is like kind of the big part of the challenge. Like, it's like the book is a big part of it, and I feel like she would do the best in that category, and then would probably do like, I don't know, middle of the road or like 4th in the other 2 categories. So in my mind, that evens out to a safe placement, because you got one big one and then 2 kind of average or slightly below average. That makes you safe. That's a very middle performance to me. So she's going to slot in right there in the safe placement, and basically the rest of it's going to be judged the same. Plain Jane and Q are going to lip sync to Better Be Good to Me by Tina Turner, and Plain, I do think, does a better job. Though Q does absolutely give her a run for her money, I must say. She does a pretty alright job in that lip sync. But Plain, I do think, does better. She has a little, like, titty bounce that she does at the point of it that really kind of, like, seals the deal for her. So she's going to win for me over Q, sadly, and Q is going to go home here. And our top 4 of the season is going to be Nymphia Wind, Saphira Crystal, Megami, and Plain Jane. And again, if you followed me on Twitter, which you should, I said a little while ago that Megami would probably be making the finale on my judging of the season because I don't think she should have gone home on that Rusical. And here she is, she's making the finale. Is this in some ways biased? Absolutely. It's everybody's how would I judge is going to be biased in some way based off of their preferences, in terms of outfits, in terms of songs, in terms of comedy, in terms of everything. Obviously, that's the way it's going to be. Is this maybe too biased in Megami's favor though? I don't know. I'm open to interpretation on that. But yeah, those are our top 4. And really the only downside I see to Megami being in the top 4 here is that she doesn't get to participate in the Returning Queens Lip Sync SmackDown, which is so disappointing because she did such an amazing job there originally. But hey, she got to the top 4, so that's why she don't have to do it, because she did a better job. But yeah, we're gonna move on to that Lip Sync SmackDown and go over kind of the storyline changes of the season at the same time. So here's this very complicated slide going over the Lip Sync SmackDown. Let's talk about it. Let's start from the beginning. Now, in this version of this Lip Sync SmackDown, we have 10 contestants competing instead of 11, which means we do not have to do a 3-way lip sync. Otherwise, I'm pretty much keeping the way that it was formatted the same. There's 9 lip sync songs, 1 person's getting eliminated at each. First round is a bunch of sets of 2s moving on to a top 5. In that top 5, we have another set of 2 lip syncs. Whoever's not picked moves on to the top 3. In the top 3, there's a lip sync. Whoever's not picked moves on to the top 2, and the top 2 lip sync for the win. It's basically the exact same as it was originally, except there's a 2-way lip sync at the end of the first round instead of a 3-way lip sync. That's really the only difference. Everybody who's participating in this did participate in this originally, except for Megami, so there are going to be some slight changes based off of that. So first up for our lip sync SmackDown, Dawn is going to be the first person to be picked. She's going to choose to go up against a mandatory meeting, and Amanda is going to choose Damaged. This is, what the first round was originally. Because it's the first round, I don't see any reasoning why any of it would change. And Amanda, I do think, did a better lip sync and this lip sync than Dawn did. So Amanda is going to stay and move on to the next round, and Dawn's going to be eliminated. The second matchup, Q's ball gets chosen. Now, originally, Q chose to go against Megami. Megami is not an option anymore. So I think Q is most likely going to try and lip sync against the person that they think they have the best chance against. Morphine did a good job in her one lip sync that she had. Geneva won a couple lip syncs. Mirage, I think, could be a choice for Q maybe, but I think she knows that Mirage has the chance to do really well. She knows the words, so she probably wouldn't choose Mirage. Tsunami and Maya each won a lip sync in this timeline. Maya won like 3 of them, so she isn't choosing either of them, I don't think. And she knows Plasma's a performer. She won the Rusical, so I don't think she's choosing Plasma either. I think Q most likely ends up choosing Hershey. Hershey ended up choosing to lip sync to Alone 2.0 by Kim Petras and Nicki Minaj. But in her original scenario, she had a couple less options. In this scenario, she also could choose if she wanted What About by Janet Jackson or $1 Million Baby by Ava Max. Would she choose either of those? I think there's a chance she chooses either of those, but I couldn't find any reasoning online or any words by her on if she would have chose those. So I decided to just keep it that she would choose Alone 2.0, and I do think she would do a better job than Q. I think she had some fun gags in this lip sync. Hershey did, like the standing in front of Mirage when she did it, and the move during the I Just Want to Ride It part. So I do think Hershey would probably win this lip sync against Q and move on, which is a very fun redemption for Hershey, who, was eliminated first lip sync, first eliminated on the season originally. Getting to win a lip sync against the person who was the last eliminated before the finale, I think would be a fun little moment. So that's what's going to happen there. Third round is going to be Morphine's ball getting chosen. She's going to choose to go against Geneva. she's the same options as last time, minus Hershey, who she didn't even choose anyway. So she's obviously going to choose Geneva. And Geneva, I don't think chooses What About. I just don't see why she would choose What About over Million Dollar Baby. What About being the only different option that she has. So I would think she would choose Million Dollar Baby. And in the scenario, originally Morphine won, and I completely agree that Morphine did better. So she's going to move on to the next round. In our fourth round, Mirage's ball gets chosen, and her choices are between Tsunami, Maya, and Plasma. Now, she says she was not going to choose Plasma because she thought Plasma would choose a quote-unquote dumbass song, so she's not choosing Plasma. Maya won 3 lip syncs and is like the lip sync assassin of the season at this point, due to those lip syncs. So I don't think she would want to choose Maya round 1. So that in my brain leaves Tsunami. And Tsunami, it's difficult figuring out what Tsunami would choose. I couldn't find what she would choose for her lip sync. But her options are What About, Milkshake, Shoop Shoop, This Time I Know It's Real, and We Got the Beat. I just don't see a reason why Tsunami would choose We Got the Beat, Shoop Shoop. I don't see why she would choose either of those at all. So those are kind of off the table for me. I also don't really think she would choose What About. The outfit she was wearing was like a light fun outfit. I would think she would want to choose like a lighter song or a song that she could just like groove to. So I don't think she would choose What About. The only options kind of in my brain were Milkshake or This Time I Know It's For Real. And I decided that I think she probably, and after agonizing on it for a bit, I think she would probably choose This Time I Know It's Real. Because I feel like that would be the song that she would want to do the most. That's just my prediction. I could absolutely be wrong. But regardless, I do think Mirage is going to win the lip sync. With basically no matter what song it is, I do think Mirage has a better odds to win it. So she's going to win here and move on. This does leave Maya and Plasma as the last two. Maya gets to choose the song. Milkshake has not been chosen. She's going to choose Milkshake, I would assume. And Plasma's gonna win. I was really conflicted on this. I was so conflicted on this because in the 3-way lip sync, Plasma stayed out in front more and really served it. And I was like, okay, Plazzy, you fucking slayed that. I thought Plasma was gonna win the lip sync at the end of it. I actually was like, oh, Maya actually won it? Okay, I guess. I really think Plasma did better when it was the three-way lip sync between them and Tsunami. But with Tsunami not there, Maya has more room to go up front and do stuff, on different areas of the stage. So does Tsunami's lack of presence help Maya's performance and make Maya's performance better than Plasma's to me? I don't know the answer to this question. This is the other decision that I'm like, I don't fucking know exactly what would happen. I ended up going with my gut and choosing Plasma as winning, which would be a shock moment. That Plasma redeems herself against Maya and wins the lip sync. That would be an iconic moment. But even if Maya does win this lip sync, I do think we are in for a pretty similar result. That we got originally. Essentially, the changes would be Maya wins this lip sync. In the second round, Morphine instead goes against Mirage. Morphine wins the lip sync against Mirage. Maya, Mirage, and Amanda are the top 3. Amanda chooses Maya. Amanda wins We Got the Beat. That's my prediction. Goes against Morphine in the top 2. Morphine wins. I do think there's a chance that Maya could win We Got the Beat. But I think at that point, if it's Maya versus Morphine in the top 2, Morphine would still win. So regardless, I don't think Maya wins. But there's I'm doing it the way that I want to do it, and I think Plasma would do better. I think she would. But yeah, in the second round, Amanda's ball got chosen first, and between the choices of Hershey, Morphine, Mirage, and Plasma, I think she would want to go against the person that she would think would be the easiest speed. That's what she did originally with Megami. So I think she'd choose Hershey. Hershey's choices are What About, Shoop Shoop, and We Got the Beat. I think she would probably choose What About? That's just my guess on what she would choose. I have no particular reason for Hershey choosing What About, besides the fact that, like, We Got the Beat is a higher energy song. I don't think she'd want to do We Got the Beat against Amanda, because Amanda would probably do higher energy than her. And then Shoop Shoop, I feel like there's a chance that she would think that Amanda would probably do uh, a better, like, Cher kind of vibe than her, so she wouldn't want to do Shoop Shoop. With What About, it's an edgier, it's darker, it's more serious. I feel like Hershey is more serious than Amanda is. Just in general, just as like a general fact. So I would assume that Hershey would probably want to do the song What About, because I think she would probably feel like if it's more in her wheelhouse. I do think Amanda wins no matter what the lip sync song is, personally. But I do think that What About would probably be the lip sync. The next ball that was chosen was Morphine's to pick the song, but here in this scenario, because nobody's getting an automatic bye to the next round, her ball is still going to be chosen, but she has to choose who she wants to go against between Mirage and Plasma. I think she chooses Plasma. I don't see a reason why she wouldn't choose Plasma. I think she would think Plasma would be easier to beat, which I think is correct. And Plasma, between Shoop Shoop and We Got the Beat, I think would choose Shoop Shoop. It's campier. I think it's more up her alley for sure. I do think Morphine would win Shoop Shoop, though. Is there a chance that Plasma could win Shoop Shoop? Yes. But honestly, Morphine, I think in 99% of lip syncs wins. Like truly, I think in 99% of lip syncs, Morphine basically wins against anybody. The one lip sync she lost earlier in the season is very disappointing and kind of comes to screw her. But I think in all these lip syncs, she's pretty much got it, because she has all these different, tricks and stuff that she didn't get to show in my version of the season because she was eliminated on her first lip sync. But I think with Shoop Shoop, she would do a very good Cher vibe, and I think would have a good time, do some stunt and gag during the large instrumental section. I think that Morphine would win this, which does mean that Mirage, not getting picked, gets a pass to the semifinals. Now, in the semifinals, we know that Morphine's ball wouldn't get picked, because Morphine was there and her ball didn't get picked. It was Megami's ball that got picked. This leads the question to be, does Amanda or Mirage's ball get picked? The answer, I don't think it really matters. I think they choose each other no matter what, because I think they both think that each other's like an easier beat. So whoever chooses the opponent, doesn't really matter. They're gonna lip sync to We Got the Beat. I think Mirage would do better than Amanda, so Mirage is gonna move on to the top two against Morphine. They're gonna lip sync to Gonna Make You Sweat Everybody Dance Now, and I think Morphine would win. So Morphine, while her storyline of the season is cut so much shorter because she gets eliminated so much earlier in her first lip sync, I think this is her big redemption comeback episode in the way that it was for Megami originally. This is her saying, that first lip sync was a fluke. I'm here to show that I am a stellar performer and that I can serve it to all these bitches. And she's gonna win $50,000 for it, which is so fucking based, and love that. I love it so fucking, it would be so good. And then obviously Amanda and Mirage, who both, get to that semifinals, they both got eliminated second and third on the season. They did get to show a lot. This would be a great redemption episode for the both of them as well, with Mirage getting to that final lip sync. That'd be so good for her. And then Amanda going home third, getting to win 2 lip syncs in this episode would be super nice for her as well. I think it would just be a good, redeeming, redemptive episode overall. And I would love to see it this way. But that is the end up until the finale, which I'm going to be watching tomorrow, and I will be filming my judging of it shortly after. So let's cut to me approximately 24 hours in the future. Okay, so I have just seen the finale. This is being filmed at like 11 o'clock the night of the finale. The finale ended like literally less than 2 hours ago. And I have some opinions. So this finale I thought was really fun and interesting and cute. I like that they used the same stage as it did last week, the Secret Celebrity stage, which if they're going to be using that as the new stage, I'm down for it. I think it's a really interesting setup. With like the bigger, kind of like it's kind of like a trapezoid kind of shape that they got going on there, like a house in a way. Actually, I guess I'm thinking of a pentagon, aren't I? It's a pentagon actually, but trapezoids can't be pentagons, can they? This is the weirdest tangent to start this off with. But besides all that, I like the stage. I like the way that they set it up. I like the tribute to Elvira. I thought that was fun. I like that they do these tributes every year. And I thought the performances overall were very good. I liked Nymphia, Saphira, and Plain Jane's performances in the finale very, very much so. Now, in this finale scenario, we would have Megami here. And looking at the way that they did these performances, I mean, I think Megami could be really anywhere in terms of how good her performance was compared to everybody else. If you had to ask me to rank the three performances we saw, I would say Saphira was my favorite, Nymphia was my second, and Plain was my third. Megami, I think, could be last, third, second, or first. I don't see or feel any specific reason on why I think Megami would be one of the best or one of the worst. She's a great performer, and she's a good writer, but these performances at the end here are really, really dependent on the show's writers and the staging and the setting up of it, a lot of which is not particularly under the queen's control. So I really don't know exactly how well Megami would do in this challenge here at the finale, but I do think because Megami is entering the finale with 1 win and 2 bottom 2s, I don't see a reason for Megami to be in that top 2 over Saphira and Nymphia, who did really, really good jobs here in the finale and throughout the season. They have the best track records of the season. We'll get to that in just a moment. So the top 2 of Nymphia Wind and Saphira Crystal are going to lip sync to Padam Padam by Kylie Minogue, which I'm so fucking hyped for. Literally, when it fucking happened, I just sent out a tweet that just said Padam Padam in all caps because I fucking love Kylie. I've had to have talked about this at some point in some video before, but Kylie Minogue is basically my favorite pop star. She's my favorite, she's like my gay icon. She's my girl. I love her so much. And so the fact that it was Padam Padam was just so wonderful. And looking at the lip sync, Nymphia won the lip sync for me, and I think Nymphia should win this season. Going into this season, and I said in the earlier part of this video, I wanted Saphira Crystal to win. But based off of that final lip sync, I was like, oh, I think Nymphia won. And I'm gonna say Nymphia won this season. That's what I'm gonna go with. I mean, so the way that the lip sync was, Saphira has this gag at the very beginning with the vampire teeth, which is kind of fun with because the opening lines are "You look like fun to me," it's like a "Ooh, I'm a vampire, I'm gonna bite you." It's kind of cool. It's not bad joke, but it doesn't really fit into the vibe of Padum Padum because it's literally it kind of just goes with that first couple of lines, and then you got the other 2.5 minutes of the song after that, and also like I don't want to stereotype vampires, but Saphira was wearing a sapphire blue gown, which makes sense. It's her name is Saphira, but she's being a vampire. She's wearing a jewel toned blue color, and if she was wearing black or red and she stayed in that campy creepy vibe the whole time that she went for at the very beginning, I think it could have been funny. But it just felt in a way, a short-sighted one-off gag. Because then she just has the vampire teeth the rest of the song. And it's okay. And she starts doing, uh, like, this, high-kicking performance. And I'm okay, this doesn't... The tonal shift I did not appreciate. And I felt like she either should have just not done it all or really shoved herself into it. She shouldn't have gone. She shouldn't have done it for the 5-second gag at the beginning. Nymphia had this coat on, this boba tea, kind of coat that I thought was so so beautiful and I think was really cool looking. And she opens it up to reveal these balloons that all come out that were so pretty. And then she has another reveal that she does during a fucking like a what why can't I think of the word? It's I guess it's is it technically a cartwheel that she does? I guess so. But she has this other reveal into her like main dancing outfit that she does during a cartwheel, which is so good and I think is so fun. And she really pulls off all the fucking tricks. She does many splits, flips up onto the wall, does these high kicks, everything. She really served the vibe of the song to me. And her reveal at the beginning was interesting. I didn't expect balloons to be under there. And the balloons, in a way, go with the boba tea outfit because, like the boba, the pearls, like the tapioca pearls, are like these like black balls. And she's got these black balloons rising up out of it. It's actually really cool. And I feel like Nymphia cleared it. I think she cleared that final lip sync. And even though I personally enjoyed Saphira's journey throughout the season more than I enjoyed Nymphia's, it would feel unfair in the pit of my soul if I didn't give the win to Nymphia. So that's what I'm going to do. Nymphia is going to win this season of RuPaul's Drag Race for me. Now let us get to the track records. Here are the track records for the season. Win is worth 5 points. Top 2 is 4.5. High is 4, safe is 3, low is 2, bottom 2 is 1, and an elimination is 0. This is, I think, the only season in Drag Race in which there are like 13 competitive episodes that need to be judged against. I could be wrong about that. But it led to some fun numbers, both Nymphia and Saphira in my judging being tied with 3.69. How fun is that? But yeah, these are the track records for this season, and also added in Morphine's win there at the reunion Lollapalooza. And yeah, that is going to be it for this video. Thank you all so much for watching this video. I'm pretty sure this is slated at this point to be my longest video I've ever made. I've filmed like almost an hour and a half worth of content for it. How long is the video actually going to be? I don't know, we'll find out. But if you made it to the end of this video, thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. I would assume you might want to after spending this long watching me talk about this season of Drag Race. Again, thank you all so much for watching, and as always, take care. Bye-bye.